Every live event is filled with moments of excitement. LiveSource is a new game-changing app that allows you to create auctions instantly during these moments, as the crowd's excitement is at a fevered pitch.
Comes back with his second triple of the game.
Imagine, after spectacular moments, you could remove any item from the field of play and place it into a live auction in less than a minute while the game is still on. Imagine the fans in attendance bidding on and winning one-of-a-kind memorabilia and experiences from that event while the event is still going on. LiveSource handles the heavy lifting so that there are no limits on what can be sold or when it can be sold. Auctions can be created in less than 60 seconds, at which time the app immediately notifies fans to start bidding, determines the winning bidder, and arranges payment and delivery moments later. Excite your audience with highly shareable moments. Motivate more fans to attend your event, increase revenue. With LiveSource, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
And it really is easy to use LiveSource. So if you're out there, check out LiveSource, livesourceapp.com. A lot of teams throughout the country are using it. It's a great tool, especially now too during COVID. Not being at the ballpark or at the arena, you know, it's a good way for teams to engage with the fans. So today we're back with more baseball executives. So we've got Craig Warzecha with us. How's it going, Craig?
I'm great, Andrew. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I'm glad that we were finally able to connect. Craig is with the Bradenton Marauders, which is the Pittsburgh Pirates team, and that's spring training as well there, right?
Correct. Yep. We do spring training here in Bradenton as well.
So I've been to the complex. It's a pretty cool complex over there. The training, because the training center is not by the stadium, right?
Correct. Yeah. It's about 3 miles away, Pirate City, where we have our whole
it's
complex.
It's like a damn hotel and everything. I did a tour in there the one time. It's pretty nice.
It is cool. Yeah. 83 dorms and pretty, all the fields, obviously, and all the other player areas. So it's pretty cool, unique complex.
How many times have you had to sleep there because you just been working so much that you didn't want to go home?
Honestly, quite a few times. Yeah.
I mean, it's better than sleeping on like the couch in the office or something like that. So
that's true. That is true. Some early morning tar pulls and all that fun stuff.
Man, I got lucky when I was with the Fred Nats up there because everybody kept talking about the tarps and like, oh, we got to pull tarp and stuff like that. And I was like, well, like, is that ever like, do executives have to do that too? They're like, yeah, everybody does.
Oh yeah.
But I got lucky. I did not have to do a tarp. It's not that bad. Everybody says they kind of like it in their own little weird way, but
it is kind of a weird thing. That's like good team building in a way. And it's kind of fun in a weird way. But
I would say it'd be fun maybe like once or twice, but like every day makes it tough. But
yeah, the summer in Florida, it's not. It definitely becomes it gets old pretty quick.
Oh my gosh, I would bet, and especially that time of year because it rains every day. So is that something you literally are doing every day there?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, if we have a homestand, particularly like July and August, I mean, there's days where we're doing it multiple times throughout the day. Like you might do it during the afternoon, and then either right before or even during the game, and then sometimes post game, leaving it on overnight. So.
Wow.
It's a challenge for sure.
And it's I mean, do you have a pretty good sized staff?
We do. Yeah. We've had some changes and stuff like that. But we kind of do, like you said, it's all hands on deck when it comes to the tarp. So, but we can make it work.
So kind of, how did you get involved in sports? Where are you from? The Bradenton area?
No. So I'm actually originally from New Jersey. Came down to Florida, went to the University of Tampa, which just pretty on a whim, to be honest with
It's a
you.
cool campus, by the way. I love that campus.
It is, I really loved it. It was a great experience for me. Just moving, 1,000 miles away, basically at 17. I didn't know anyone going there or anything like that. So, but I loved the experience there. And, there's a few reasons why I went to Tampa, but part of it was honestly due to all the spring training facilities. So I knew I wanted to work in baseball. So I was familiar with, that being like a hotbed for spring training. So I figured, well, there's this grouping of teams, probably, I think it's like 5 teams within probably an hour radius, Pirates being one of them. So that definitely intrigued me to go to Tampa, and it worked out. My first job I got with the Phillies in Clearwater. I started.
Were you a Phillies fan, like being from Jersey, or?
So I was actually a Yankees fan growing up. I was more like central, more towards northern New Jersey, so I wasn't in the South by Philly there.
Right.
But yeah, I kind of got lucky with the Phillies. I was freshman, 18, started working in their box office, just part-time, a few days a week, game days, non-game days. Just that was my first entrance into baseball, into sports. And they really helped me, gain experience and open doors for me. And kind of one thing led to another, and then ended up down with the Pirates after I graduated.
What was it about baseball that you kind of had your eye set? Were you just a big baseball fan? Did you play?
Yeah, I played all throughout, growing up, played in high school and everything. I knew going to Tampa, I wasn't going to play at Tampa. Tampa's a kind of a D2 powerhouse. So I knew, I wasn't going to continue to play, but I always just loved the game, growing up playing, but also we used to go to a bunch of major league and minor league games. We were pretty close to like the Trenton Thunder. We used to go a bunch, Staten Island Yankees, bunch of games, even Lakewood Blue Claws, which I spent a summer working there, which was fun too. But yeah, growing up, went to a bunch of games. I just always loved baseball. It's kind of funny. I joke that I'm not even really a huge sports fan. I don't really watch football, or
Really?
I don't really watch a ton of sports. Yeah, but just there was something about baseball, and I really started enjoying like the ins and outs of it, and more as I got into it, more the business side.
I mean, baseball for me, it's like I grew up in like central PA. So, we would always go to Phillies games, and then my grandparents lived near Scranton. So there was the Scranton Wilkes-Barre. And at that point, I think they were maybe Yankees affiliate. And so I just remember like the fun times going to the ballpark, like, as a kid. And it just, now being on the business side of it, it's like, you just look out there and you see all the memories that are being created with people. And it's pretty cool. I love that aspect of it.
Yeah, it is. It's really, it's a unique thing. And that's what I love about the minor leagues is, it's more about obviously all the things going on outside the field, and making memories for kids and families, which is a lot of fun.
So when you were with the Phillies, what kind of stuff were you doing, during your time there?
So started out really just box office, doing some phone, answering phones, a lot of customer service, and then game days just really be working a box office window. So got my entry through the ticket realm. I did that for I think 3 years. So like my freshman through junior years, I would and it worked out well. The spring semester I would come down, and spring training we'd be gearing up for spring training. So I'd work that, and then as I think my senior year there, I started just kind of delving out into, helping out with some corporate partnerships, doing a little bit more of the outbound sales for tickets, making calls, doing like marketing promotions, did some, community relations, going out, like street team type stuff. So they really, over the years, as I continued to just keep showing up, basically.
Let's let them do that too.
Yeah, it's like, and Jason Adams, who's the GM of the Threshers, he was the one who hired me, and I always expressed to him my desire to do other things, and he was always very receptive to that. So it worked out really well. I was able to pretty much do a little bit of everything while I was there, and just build my resume, build my experience, build my network and connections. So it ended up working out really well.
Did you ever wear the mascot?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You have to at some point in your career. If you don't, it's not right.
Yeah, I was Finley, the mascot there. I did it once for a summer camp day, which was probably about 100 degrees, and kids everywhere. So that was a lot of fun. And I was a mascot in Lakewood as well, my summer with the Blue Claws, which is another Phillies team. I've done you name it, I've probably done it at least once, if not more.
I've gotten into mascot maybe like once or twice, but anytime I will do it, it's like when the thing is like brand new. Like, so I'm like the first one in, before it gets to before it smells like a hockey locker room or something.
Oh yeah. They don't smell great, and it's not too much fun.
There's only so much Febreze will do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Every live event is filled with.
Yeah, tough to see out of there and everything. So yeah.
So when you went to the Pirates organization, was that kind of like your first full-time gig, or were you already full-time with the Phillies and that was just another, a new opportunity for you?
Yeah, my first job with the Pirates was really my first like full-time role. So I graduated school in the spring, and I ended up staying on with the Phillies for the rest of that season, and then another full season, just kind of doing a mix of different things. So kind of not with an official title or anything. I was just helping out and doing things, which was great. I mean, it was really great experience, but I knew coming out of that season, that was 2015. I knew after that season, I was kind of ready to take the next step, wherever that may have been. And it just worked out. I mean, I definitely wanted to stay in the Tampa Bay area, if I could. And I saw a posting with the Pirates. It was a sales coordinator job, which just doing all sorts of, various aspects of sales, but really was a group sales driven role. So got in there and just started selling tickets and just worked my way up from there. But it was a really good kind of first official role for me coming out of school.
Did you kind of have an idea of where you wanted to be? Did you know, okay, sales is kind of my path, or were you just like, I'll take anything? Did that internship help you kind of figure out more what you wanted to do?
It did, yeah, because with the Phillies, I really did a little bit of everything. And I kind of just knew, and from talking to people and seeing other people's paths, my goal really was to become a minor league GM. I just really liked that path. I liked kind of overseeing all the aspects of the business side. And when I was in Lakewood, the GM there at the time, Jeff Brown, I kind of saw him. And again, at that point I was 19. So, but that, again, I didn't really know exactly what I was doing, but just kind of that was kind of like, okay, maybe that's, the path I want to take. And I knew having a strong ticket sales foundation in particular was going to help me go up the ladder. And, looking at other minor league GMs, that seemed to be the trend, that they had a strong ticket sales background, but also had a good understanding of the other aspects of the business as well. So, but yeah, it worked out that sales, in particularly group sales, was kind of my really first entry point, and I did pretty well there, and that led to a couple of promotions for me down the road.
What do you think helped with those promotions? Were you were you really hitting your numbers? Were you showing good leadership during that time?
Yeah, I think it was just kind of a combination of a couple different things, doing well with sales, obviously, and, just generating revenue. But I think also proving that I had the ability and knowledge and understanding of the other aspects as well. And then really, I mean, I always tell people, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right? So I was just kind of right place, right time. Like, it was just a natural fit for me to, at first, I think it was maybe a year and a half in that role before I got promoted to assistant GM for the Marauders, and then ticket sales manager. So I was, managing ticket sales for both spring training and the Marauders as well. And then did that for, I think it was about 2 years. And then similar thing, our GM at the time she got a great opportunity. And I was kind of waiting in line, and everyone, I made it pretty well known that was what I wanted to do. That was the next step for me, and felt like I was ready to take the reins. So it just worked out.
That's awesome. I mean, it's nice to see too, kind of like from your first, full-time type role, is to really progress up through, the ranks and, just a quick few years. So, that goes to show to your, leadership and everything. How was that? How was like adjusting from being a salesperson to then being a leader? Because a lot of times, just because you're a good, salesperson doesn't mean you're going to be a good leader. Like, how was that transition for you? I know I struggled, the first few years, just, kind of delegating, I think, was my biggest thing, trusting other people. But
Sure.
How was that transition for you?
Yeah, definitely challenging. For sure. Like you said, you go from kind of worrying about yourself for the most part. You're more worried about making the calls and hitting your numbers and, focusing on your clients and your customers, right? And then transitioning into, maintaining that to an extent, obviously at a lesser extent of having, groups and accounts and things to deal with, but really overseeing the team. And one of the things, I'm still learning as we go, right? Like every day.
Me too. I'm 42. I'm still learning. So
yeah. But I think that's a really important aspect. Like one of the things when I got into that first kind of manager role was, I really enjoy like the coaching and the developing aspect. I'm really big on like professional development. So really honing in on, continuous improvement, whether that be through, we were big on doing trainings and mock calls and, things of that nature. I think that's really important. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it and trying to help coach and teach a little bit and just try to make, again, trying to improve myself every day still, to this day. I don't think that will ever end, but, kind of hopefully helping my team do that too, and just trying to grow and learn and get better. So I really enjoyed that about, that first manager role. But yeah, definitely a lot getting used to it, learning on the fly. Definitely it's always a work in progress, I think.
Yeah, you can never stop, developing really, in my opinion. It's because things change with the times, and you got to stay on top of it. So it's good to hear. Do you guys, is your office at the stadium or is it over at the training center?
Actually both. So yeah, it's kind of probably a more complicated answer than it should be. But yeah, we depending on like what's going on and the time of the year, obviously during the season we're based out of the ballpark, but at times during the off season, we'll transition and just kind of condense ourselves over to Pirate City, because that's more of a year-round operation as opposed to the ballpark. Just trying to limit some stuff going on over there. But yeah, we actually tend to bounce around a little bit between a couple different offices.
Nice.
So, yeah. Yeah.
So like, what's your role like? Because you have, spring training, then you have, is it advanced day still?
So actually we were high A advanced day, and now going into next season, we'll be actually transitioning to just regular class A or low A.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And so so what's your, kind of calendar look like for you? Like, cause that's a lot of games, between spring training and that, and then I'm sure you have other stuff going on throughout the year.
Yeah. I mean, in a normal year, like in the past, we're usually doing about 86, 87 home games between spring training and the Marauders. And then plus, other events, whether it's events we're doing at the ballpark or doing other like community events and things like that. So we're easily upwards of, 100 events, if not more. But yeah, it's unique. I mean, it's kind of all I've ever known, aside from my summer in Lakewood. But I joined there in May, so they were already during the season. So, it's just like ingrained in me now that like I kind of break my year into like 3 parts. So I have like my fall, like end of season to basically the holiday break, the new year. As you know, it's off season, but that's heavy like sales
Right.
and planning
It's
season.
sales time. Yeah.
So the days themselves are very busy. Obviously that's when you have your nights and weekends off for the most part. But then again, we are just programmed like coming out the gate from the new year that like, okay, spring training is like upon us. So that time between the new year to opening day is a lot of stuff, a lot of prep work going on. And then you have your spring training game days that you're executing. So February, March, it's a crazy 4, 5, 6 week time period. And then normally depending on the year, we might have 2 weeks between the last spring training game and the first Marauders game. So again, a busy transition time where we're trying to turn the stadium over, signage or, for example, doing a video board rehearsal run through. Like there's certain elements that we're running during spring training, but we're not doing during the summer and vice versa. So, and then we get into the season, April, and then we're going 70 games.
And it's like a blank, and then you're done. You're like, whoa.
And then where
September, did the year go?
Exactly. And then September, we're normally, just jump as soon as the season ends, we're jumping right into planning for the next one. So
getting an IV and recovering.
Exactly.
What the hell just happened?
Definitely important to get some rest in there for sure when we can. But
so with spring training and then the minor league team, so not all of you. So you have different partnerships for those, or are some of those like you sell for both?
Yeah, most of them are for both. Most of them we kind of sell it as a year round for the whole season. There's some exceptions that are one versus the other, but most of our partners are for year round for both seasons. So that works out pretty well.
Who does the partnership sales? Is that primarily you as well, or?
Yeah, I do most of that. We have some other members of our team that help out and have their own accounts and things like that as well. But yeah, we kind of do it by committee, but yeah.
So what is your, what's like a day look like for you?
Yeah, probably depending on the time of the year, whether it's that fall
on the day.
Yeah, exactly. I always say like there's no 2 days are the same. But it can be a variety of things, like working with our partners, staying in touch with them, the ones that we have, keeping that communication open, making sure that, now is focused on deliverables and, activation side, making sure everything's lined up for the season. Always, reaching out to new business and perspective. I mean, that never ends. I think, there's a ticket sales component, just being involved with what we're doing there. Community relations, there's that side of things. I work pretty closely we have an operations and then concessions. We run our concessions and retail, ourselves in-house. So, work closely with him. The game entertainment and promotions aspects, whether we're planning or scripting, working on that type of stuff, and, the PR and communication side of things. So a lot of balls in the air, a lot of times. There's the staffing component, obviously, whether it's our full-time staff or, our part-time and whether we're preparing or working on training and things like that for them. So a lot of stuff, but I think it all leads back to like serving people. So serving our clients, serving our guests, serving our partners, serving our staff. That's what I try to hone in on like on a daily basis is like, we're in the service business for sure. And I think serving others, that's what serving the community. So that's kind of where I try to channel my energy, but there's all the admin side and the different things as well. And that goes on over the course of the year and course of the season too.
Yeah, it's all of the above, and what as duties assigned. So
Yeah,
anything and everything.
During the season, I have several weather apps, so I've become a meteorologist during the season for sure. It's another hat I put on for a few months. So
that's got to be tough in Florida because of how quick the weather comes in, and how it could be horrible 5 miles away and fine. So how do you manage that? And I take it it's probably got to be a little different than a lot of ballparks, up north or other areas.
It is for sure. Constantly threat of like the pop-up thunderstorm that's going to rain really hard for maybe 20 minutes. But if that happens at the wrong time, that could be pretty bad. So normally during the season, like I constantly have a radar up on one of my screens, or I'm checking alerts, or have it on my TV, or like it's always on. So it's, for the most part, like you get in the routine and just you start to see a pattern. We're pretty close to the Gulf here, so you can kind of see sometimes, okay, we got some stuff coming off the Gulf, like let's be a little bit more on high alert. But that's not to say that at any snap of the fingers, like there could be a storm right above you that is on no radar. So
yeah, out of nowhere. It's crazy.
Yeah, the toughest part is right around game time. If it's gates open, we're still playing at 6:30 and the gates are opening, let's say 5:30, and just that time period, you got the pitcher starting to warm up, and that doesn't go very well if we don't plan that out properly. So that's once we get the game going, normally then it's a little bit more at that point. Obviously it's in the umpire's hands, but we're trying to still give them updates between me and our head groundskeeper. But yeah, it's like a never-ending challenge.
Do you have to cover the fields at the training center as well, or you leave those open?
Yeah, so I don't, and in particular, I'm kind of more focused on the game days. They do some tarping over there. We have grounds crew at both complexes, so we actually, one of the fields at the complex is a turf field. Nice. So that helps, especially during the Gulf Coast League season. Those are more so day games and stuff like that. So they at least have that. But yeah, there's definitely some times where they tarp over there as well.
Yeah. Well, at least you're not having to worry about that as much. That would be a lot. That would be a lot.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what kind of advice do you have? On LinkedIn, there's a lot of students now. They're going through college. They're trying to get into the sports world, and any advice that you have for someone that's looking to get into the sports world?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the networking piece is obvious one. I mean, especially via LinkedIn. Like I've always encouraged people to reach out to me. I mean, I'm always happy to talk with people, and I think that's really important, just to talk with people and build connections, build relationships. So that's the obvious one. I think everyone's aware of that. But I always, and it depends on what path people want to take, but in the minor leagues, I always suggest having like a narrow view or a deep understanding of sales. I think having that as your foundation is key and really important. But then also having like a wide and narrow, or more of just a wide view of like the general operation. So I think it's important to have that blend of both. Like, I think not to be so narrow where you're only focused on one thing. I do think sales is that way to go, because I think if you can do that and you could do that well,
it's the most jobs. So
exactly, most jobs. And I think if you can prove that you can, if you can generate revenue, that's going to stand out, obviously. But then I think it's also important, kind of going back to what we said earlier, like, be a mascot, do anything. I mean, help with the conceptions, like understand just the big picture too. I think that's really important. So I always encourage people too, to, even if the minor leagues maybe isn't necessarily where you want to be, that's a great place at least to do an internship or do something, because for the most part, you're going to get to wear those hats and you can see, oh, I like this, or I don't like this, or, and at least you can put that on your resume that, like I always wanted, if someone asked me like, have you done this, whatever that may be, I would say yes. So have you pulled tarp? Yes. Have you, been a mascot? Yes. Have you, I remember for Phillies spring training, I did the camera operation for a few games, like on the field for like pregame ceremonies, doing that. Yeah. I had no idea what that was or how to do it, but I just filled in, as needed. So, but yeah, that's usually what I tell people is like those few things is just, network, have an understanding of sales, have a general understanding of how the business and the operation in general works. And then lastly, just continue to work on improving and getting better. There's so much good information out there that's free. LinkedIn and podcasts and everything. So just soak up the knowledge. So I think that's, if you can focus on getting, I always say like 1% better every day, from James Clear.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. That's going to build up over
compounding, interest right there.
Exactly. So those few things is what I always tell like students or anyone that I talk to is like some tips to just try to, because it is competitive, as but you can definitely stand out, and it's a good career once you get into it.
Well, and I think your internship with the Phillies has probably helped a lot in your career path because it exposed you to more than just one aspect of the business. And, especially now where you're overseeing everything, all those little, segments definitely help. And a lot of times people don't know what they want to do. And it's a good way to say, okay, you know what? I suck at sales. I want to be in operations or whatever. But I think it's a good opportunity for people to kind of really test things out. And I know for me, I always look like it's number one. If you're coming right out of school, what internships have you done? And it's a red flag if there's no internships. Then I want to know why. Just, and there could be a valid reason, but get active, get out there. I mean, it's a good opportunity to meet people. And if you do a good job, I mean, you talk to other GMs in your league, I'm sure, other people throughout, sports. So, if you do a good job, there will be opportunities out there for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always tell people too, like if I talk to someone who's younger in their career, maybe they're even like going into college or they're a freshman or sophomore, I think it's because I've seen this happen too, where people wait to get their internship and they're a senior.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, so I always suggest like that part-time game day experience, like work in the parking lot or do just like get that in when you're a freshman or sophomore. Because then that's going to help you get that internship, and everything is snowballs on each other. Like you're going to get your internship, get your job. Like it's all compounds from there.
Yeah, that's what I like to see in your background, that you actually started that process early and didn't wait till that senior year. Then, oh my God, I need an internship to graduate. I can't find one.
Kind of a little late at that point, then you're stumbling, and then maybe you end up doing something that you really don't want to do, or then it just doesn't, then you're not passionate and you're not, that's the other thing I always tell people, like, there's a printout that I have, and I found online. It's 10 things that require zero effort. You may have seen it, and it just lists, those things like having energy and like all those intangibles. I think that's a really key piece too, because you can't fake that, and you can't really put it on paper, but it's like, those are the things that when you do land something, that's gonna make you stand out. And, either they're going to promote you or hire you, or they're going to recommend you to someone else, say, hey, I don't have a job, I don't have a spot for you, but we're all, everyone talks, right? In the sports industry, especially like in baseball, it's like a family. So, yeah.
So what kind of promos have you been a part of? Anything that sticks out that was like, just like it was a home run, or like one that was a strikeout, like that just was really bad?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Done a lot over the years, dating back to like my Clearwater, Lakewood days, and then with the Marauders. some of the ones probably one of my favorites that we've done is Margaritaville night is one of my favorites, especially being in Florida. We had some really cool jerseys and really good band and stuff like that. Just really fits with like the Florida vibe.
Nice.
So that's one of my favorites. Star Wars is like that's like the every day.
Do you do the jerseys like Star Wars jerseys or?
Yeah, we always do Star Wars jerseys. We typically do several theme jerseys throughout the season. 4th of July being another one. And then we usually do a Nickelodeon night as well. So we've done that the past couple years. We did SpongeBob. We did Paw Patrol. So those are fun, for the kids. Like they get all excited to meet the characters, and those jerseys are pretty cool too. So yeah, those are probably some of the ones that we've done. We've done some, random like one-off one, like we did, superhero villain or heroes versus villains night, I think is what we called it, and some different things, having different characters and stuff throughout the ballpark, and all that fun stuff. Faith night is usually a staple of our promo calendar, but that's one of my probably more favorite things to do is to map out a promotional calendar and be strategic about the weekends and kind of loading things and placing things. It's kind of a fun puzzle to put together.
How do you do that? Do you is it kind of like a all hands on deck staff meeting that you guys bounce ideas off of, or is this kind of you come up with, or a marketing person comes up with?
So how we've done it in the past is we would do a staff retreat after the season, and that would be everyone, all the full-time staff. We'd get together and we would cover pretty much all aspects, but we'd focus on promotions, and theme nights would be a heavy focus of that planning session. And at that session, we'd look at last year's calendar and we'd bucket where things fell. So do we keep it? Do we, does it go to the graveyard? Does it, do we not continue it? Or do we tweak it? Like, do we keep it, but it's going to need some adjustments? So we kind of do that first. So we decide what we want to keep and not keep. And then from there, we take in new ideas. So we encourage everyone to at least bring one, if not more, ideas for theme nights. So we take those in. So that's kind of the first phase. And then the second phase, usually we'll kind of let that marinate, let people think for a little bit. And then usually like the week or two after is when typically like myself and our assistant GM, and then maybe one or two others, we might pull people in kind of along the way. But between me and our assistant GM we're usually the ones who just kind of hunker down usually takes us a day. Usually it's like an 8-hour process that we start mapping out. We take the Saturdays, we look at Fridays, kind of piece things together. So it's fun. Like it's challenging, but it's fun when you see it like come to life, and then things like, okay, that fits there, and we can allocate this here and do this giveaway here.
And now let's find a sponsor for this and a sponsor for that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a lot of, we have a big whiteboard and a lot of color coding, and then we start to try to build ticket packages based off of key days and things of that nature. So it all kind of fits together, but yeah, it's a fun process.
Yeah, no, that's a great. Now for spring training, do you do any promotions, or is that more just strict, baseball?
We do a little bit. In the past, we put together a promo calendar, but looks very different than what the Marauders one does. Marauders, we're focusing on giveaways, themes, fireworks, things like that. Where spring training, we're doing some themes, but it's just got a different feel to it. Like we obviously trying to integrate our partners into certain days and certain initiatives that we might want to do. There's definitely community components. So using spring training as like a platform to, raise awareness for some of our community partners and things like that. So a little less on the giveaway. Sometimes we do some minor giveaways, but it's probably less driven on really trying to, obviously we're always trying to maximize attendance, but it's just kind of allocating resources a little bit differently. So we approach it in a different way.
How is the upcoming season looking for spring training and the regular season? When does that stuff start? Or
yeah, a lot of it is still being worked on right now. So we're there's still some unknowns, but we're just trying to do everything we can to just be as prepared as possible for really whatever scenario may be thrown our way. And just try to be as prepared as we can be. So that's kind of what we're focusing on right now.
And I'm sure like COVID has probably made, the operational side a lot different too, with just, making sure that, the safety is all there and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of different enhancements to the stadium. A lot of different, obviously increased, cleaning protocols and things of that nature. So, but yeah, we're excited to get back. It was so strange. We were like in the midst of spring training last year when kind of the world shut down, and then, going from that to, thinking we'd have a minor league season that would, obviously be delayed. Right. And then at whatever point in the summer that, just got canceled. So just a really strange year. So looking forward to
let's get some baseball. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, looking forward to this year and then the future, and just get this period behind us.
I usually like food. Okay, I like to eat. So I always like to find out, like, what are some of the good local spots in your area for food?
Yeah, it's a great question. We have some really good restaurants here. We really do. There's some that are downtown, close to the ballpark, within a few minutes, a couple miles. There's a Main Street. You have O'Bricks, Oak and Stone is one of our partners as well. Great pizza. It's actually part of a new hotel right on the river, Manatee River. They have a ground floor restaurant with a bunch of taps, and then they have a rooftop bar and great pizza and great food there. Pier 22 is another one right across the street there. Great food there. I know I'm missing some here, but Anna Maria Oyster Bar is a great one. They have several locations throughout kind of the Manatee County area. Great food. So yeah, a lot of really great restaurants in the area.
That's what I love about Florida in general. There's so many different options, and where I grew up, they're really, like, I was not exposed to like much outside of like normal American food. There was just not a lot of options. And so I live in Central Florida, where you can have anything you want here, which is cool. And you're not far, so some great stuff there too.
Exactly. I don't eat seafood really, which people are like,
I don't either.
We're right by the Gulf, and like obviously the seafood's great. So there's a lot of great places like near the beach. Anna Maria Island is probably 20-25 minutes from us, so a lot of great restaurants out there as well. But yeah, people always are like, you live right there and you don't take advantage of the seafood. So
yeah, I'm the same way. My wife and kids, they love it. Every now and then I'll have a little, but not too much. I like steak and other stuff. But,
yeah, same here.
So what's, what other goals, do you have, career wise? I mean, you've reached, GM, really young, and you still have a long career ahead of you. Is there any other like aspirations that you have, down the road?
Yeah, I've thought a lot about that. And I really enjoy the minor league side where, running a team. I really like that aspect of it. But I also like where we kind of get the best of both worlds with having the big league and the major league side for a short time, but it's there too. So you get to taste that. So I really like the Florida, environment. I like the spring training side. So
it's nice and warm.
Yeah, it's warm. There's just a lot of advantages to it. So, I mean, for, a lot of those types of reasons, like I really don't see myself going anywhere, is what I always tell people. And, I honestly, I didn't see being a GM probably as young or even it was funny when I got hired, our assistant GM at the time hired me, and he told me off the bat, like he asked me what I wanted to do, and I told him, be a minor league GM. And he said, well, I'm not going anywhere, and our GM's not going anywhere. Like, to tell you up front, like this is probably a couple year thing for you, and then you're gonna have to, if you want to move up, you're probably gonna have to go somewhere else. So,
right.
I was like, okay, that's fine. I was fine with that, but it worked out differently. But I don't know. I mean, I've thought a little bit more about the major league side, of late, and maybe that's something I want to explore down the line. But I think it's just going to come down to if an opportunity, comes up, kind of all depend, I guess, case by case. But I really enjoy the business side. So if I enjoy ticket sales and the corporate partnerships. So I think if I were to maybe go the major league route, it would be in one of those areas, or perhaps at some point like overseeing those sides of the business for a big league team. But again, I'm a baseball guy. I don't see myself going to another sport either. That's a piece of advice I usually say not to do, not to like limit yourself. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, I don't really.
But you want to go where you're passionate, because you're going to enjoy what you do. And, I know for me, I don't really feel like I've worked, I'm 42. Like, I feel like, I'm just every day I went to the office or whatever. It's what I loved. Like I don't like to sit around on a weekend and do nothing, to be honest with you. I'd rather work.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, follow the passion too. You don't want to dread what you're doing. And especially in this industry, if you have to work, all those hours and put everything in, definitely enjoy it.
It'd be weird. Like, I've thought about, or people, I've known people that work in football, for example, and they're like working, what is it, 8 or 10 games?
Right. Yeah.
And it's like,
you jerks.
That's so weird. I couldn't even imagine. Like now, you just, again, you get so programmed with like, okay, it's a new year, come back, spring training.
And it's a grind.
Like you're so, that becomes so ingrained, which is why, this past year was so weird. It's just, that's like part of it's programmed in you that like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. So it'd be really weird, I think, just doing something different.
Have you had like a chance to go to like Pittsburgh for any games? I know that the seasons kind of overlap, but like, have you had an opportunity to go there, or, if they're playing in Miami, to kind of check out the parent club?
Yeah, we usually go to Pittsburgh at least once a year. We actually do a partner trip up there. And then, there's been some other times where I've gone up for some meetings or different things. So it's been really cool to go up there. I've probably been up there maybe 6 or 7 times now. I've been with the Pirates for just over 5 years. So hoping to get up there for the playoffs at some point too. But no, that ballpark is just is amazing. It's really one of a kind. So
yeah, it's cool. It's got such a nice look with the city and everything.
Yeah, it's a great city. I've really enjoyed my trips up there. Usually they're, weekends or a few days at a time. So I don't spend a ton of time up there typically. But yeah, I always enjoy going up there, especially in the summer.
I was going to say, as long as it's not, that winter up there sucks. Like,
yeah,
I'm used to this warm weather now. Like, my body just is used to this. It's
exactly. I think it's snowing up there. So
yeah, I see all my friends and family are posting photos. It's it looks great on photos. That's about it.
Exactly. But yeah, no, it's been really fun being able to get the opportunity to go up there occasionally.
No, it sounds great, man. It's just it's great to kind of see, your progression, and I definitely think that's such a cool ballpark, and then the campus, not too far away, is cool. So keep up the good work. It was great getting to know you here. But let's definitely keep in touch.
Yeah, sounds good. I appreciate it. Enjoyed the conversation, and thanks for having me.